What if your suffering is not the result of your circumstances, but of how you think about them? What if your chains were forged not by the world, but by your own mind? You wake each day with a weight pressing on your chest. You feel trapped by indecision, anxiety, fear. You question your strength, your discipline, your path. You scroll, compare, and shrink. Your thoughts spiral, repeating the same doubts, the same regrets. And deep down you suspect something. This is not how a human being is meant to live. But this is where your life begins again. Not with motivation, not with inspiration, but with reconstruction, with fire, with steel, with philosophy. Subscribe and watch until the end. Because this is not just a video. This is a reckoning, a return to the teachings of a man who began life as a slave and became one of the greatest minds in human history, Epictetus. He did not command armies, he did not inherit wealth. He had no title, no palace, no political power. But he ruled his mind like a king. His words outlived empires. And what he discovered is the secret to enduring mental strength. You do not control what happens to you, but you do control what you think about it. This video will not flatter you. It will not soothe you. It will train you. Through 8 iron-forged rules taken from Epictetus himself, applied to your life today in battle-tested, unbreakable steps. Watch until the end, not for entertainment, but because your future depends on the ideas you carry forward from this moment. One rule ignored, one truth missed, and the chain remains. Let us begin. Number 1. You are disturbed not by events, but by your opinion of them. A storm strikes. 2 men stand in the rain. One curses the sky, the other feels the cold and remains unmoved. Same storm, different minds. Epictetus taught it is not events that disturb people, it is their judgments concerning them. This is the foundational fracture in most lives, believing that the outer world must be perfect so the inner world can be calm. But look around. History never bends to your preferences. Earthquakes, wars, recessions, betrayals, death. If you require the world to cooperate with your comfort, you will forever be its prisoner. You must instead rewire your response. Practice pausing when emotion surges. Say, what else could this mean? Seek the frame, not the feeling. Ask, is this within my power? If not, what is? When Napoleon lost 40,000 men retreating from Russia, he did not collapse, he regrouped. Not because he felt no pain, but because he knew. Emotion is a cloud, reason is the compass. Mental strength begins here, not in denial of pain, but in mastery of perception. Number 2, do not wish for things to happen as you want. Wish for them to happen as they do, and you will be content. This is not passive surrender. This is invincible alignment. How much of your mental exhaustion comes from arguing with reality? You want the job to work out, the person to change, the past to undo itself. But the Stoic does not plead with fate. He studies it, accepts it, then adapts. Epictetus said, seek not for events to happen as you wish, but wish them to happen as they do. Lincoln lost 8 elections before becoming president. He could have wished for a smoother rise. Instead, he allowed hardship to sculpt him into steel. So ask yourself, where are you resisting what is already so? Your parents will not change. Your past will not disappear. Time will not wait. Accept this. Then begin again, not as a victim, but as a strategist. You do not need different conditions, you need a different response. Number 3, first say to yourself what you would be, then do what you have to do. Mental strength does not arise from chance. It is born in clarity. What do you want to become? A disciplined man? A loving father? A resilient entrepreneur? Say it aloud. Write it. Own it. Because without this internal command, your days will be decided by external noise. Epictetus told his students to define their role before living it. Decide what you want to be, then act accordingly. It is not enough to dream of strength. You must script it, step into it, become it. Like Marcus Aurelius, who wrote every morning to remind himself of his purpose, not to rule an empire in comfort, but to rule himself in chaos. Mental clarity is a fortress. Without it, your will crumbles at the first distraction. With it, your every action becomes a brick in your monument. Number 4. Do not explain your philosophy. Embody it. The world is drowning in opinions. Everyone speaks, few act. You say you are stoic, but you rage in traffic. You preach discipline, but you break at the first craving. You speak of virtue, but you pursue pleasure. Epictetus warned, don't explain your philosophy, embody it. Mental strength is not performance, it is presence. When Nelson Mandela walked free after 27 years in prison and spoke not of revenge, but of forgiveness, the world saw Stoicism in flesh. No quote needed. His calm was his power. Be the one who does not flinch, who does not overreact, who meets crisis with calm, delay with patience, insult with silence. Let others talk. You become the proof. Number 5. Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. You want control, but you chase it in the wrong places. You chase it in the market, in relationships, in reputation, in routines. But all these are weather. They change without asking you. True control begins where your influence begins. Your thoughts, your choices, your standards. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Alexander the Great conquered the world, but could not control his temper. He died drunk at 32. What good is external power when your own mind remains a tyrant? Choose freedom. Let go of what you cannot command. Focus only on what is yours. Your discipline, your response, your virtue. Mental strength is not domination, it is self-governance. If you're gaining value from this, if it's making you rethink how you've trained your mind, pause for a moment, like, subscribe, not because you're told to, but because you know this is what you've needed. And what's coming next is even heavier. Number 6. If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Most people stay weak not because they lack strength, but because they worship appearances. They want growth, but not the awkwardness that precedes it. They desire wisdom, but recoil at the sight of ignorance on their face. They yearn to rewire their minds, but they wear the same mask every day, tightening its straps every time truth gets close. They wish to transform in private. They want no witnesses to their fumbling. But the fire that purifies gold never burns in secret. You must let the world see you sweat. Epictetus warned with the edge of a blade, if you wish to improve, be content to appear clueless or silly. Improvement is not a clean ascent. It is a shattering of ego, of image, of comfort. A man must allow his old self to be mocked, so his new self can be born. The blacksmith strikes the blade until it screams. The sculptor hammers the marble until the shape emerges. And the philosopher must endure ridicule until his reason is unshakable. Think of Churchill. Twice he failed his military exams. Mocked in Parliament, betrayed by colleagues, yet every insult became kindling. Every public fall sharpened his resolve. When his nation stood on the edge of annihilation, it was he, the has-been, who became steel. Socrates walked barefoot through Athens, annoying the powerful with his questions. They called him ignorant. They called him dangerous. They called him mad. They killed him. But his ideas marched on, wearing the armor of eternity. And Seneca, cast into exile by the emperor, surrounded by those who called him obsolete, refused to yield to shame. He wrote, he reflected, he returned, stronger, clearer, ready. These men were not foolish, but they were willing to look foolish. That is the price of greatness. If you spend your life polishing your image, you will never shape your character. You will make choices not based on virtue, but on optics. You will speak only what is safe, learn only what flatters. And when the storm comes, your mask will blow away like dust, revealing nothing underneath but fear. So tear it off now. Let them laugh. Let them whisper. Let them think you've lost your way. They cannot see the mountain you are climbing, because growth in its early stages is always mistaken for failure. It's awkward, hesitant, full of missteps and contradictions. But those who persist through it emerge immortal. Be the student, not the performer. Ask the dumb question. Admit you don't know. Struggle in public. Practice discipline when others indulge. Walk away when others cheer for chaos. There is no shame in being new. The shame is in pretending you're already wise. A man who is willing to be seen as foolish in the short term becomes untouchable in the long term. His self-worth is no longer rented from others' opinions. It is forged in silence and owned for life. And remember, the oak was once a brittle sprout, the sword was once raw ore, and every sage was once a fool who kept walking while others laughed. So do not defend your image. Destroy it. Let it collapse. Bury it in the soil. Then rise from it. Awkward, uncertain, humble, and unbreakable, because growth is not graceful, but it is glorious. Number 7. The key is to keep company only with people who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best. Your mind is not a fortress, it is a field. Every conversation is a seed, every presence is a wind, Every shared silence leaves a trace in the soil of your soul. You may believe you are strong enough to resist influence, but influence does not ask permission. It seeps in like smoke beneath the door, reshaping your thoughts when you're not looking. Spend enough time with cowards, and you will find yourself calculating rather than acting. Dwell among gossips, and your words will rot from truth into venom. Stand too long with the undisciplined, and your standards will fall like crumbling stone. Epictetus said it sharply: avoid fraternizing with people who make you lose self-respect. This is not a call to arrogance. It is a call to vigilance. Because friendship is not harmless. Fellowship is not neutral. There is no such thing as casual influence, only unconscious transformation. You become the average of your surroundings, not just in income or ambition, but in thought, in virtue, in self-talk, in soul. Look to history. When Julius Caesar returned from Gaul, bloodied and victorious, he did not sit among flatterers. He sat with warriors, strategists, realists, men who had felt the weight of leadership and the silence of the battlefield. Men who challenged him, men who sharpened him. When Malcolm X left prison, he did not return to the old crowd that helped bury him. He surrounded himself with books, teachers, mentors. His metamorphosis was not just intellectual, it was social. He understood. You cannot become new while standing in the same fire that once burned you. Even Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, chose a circle not of comfort but of confrontation. Rusticus, his Stoic tutor, scolded him, corrected him, held him to the hardest truths, and Marcus thanked him for making him better, not happier. If you wish to grow, you must choose your company with surgical precision. Ask yourself, do they uplift your courage or drain it with doubt? Do they respect discipline or mock it with indulgence? Do they push you to your edge or soothe you into decay? Do they make you feel ashamed of your weakness or proud of your strength? Because every friend is a mirror, and in that reflection, you either see who you were or who you must become. You do not need a crowd, you need a circle. Small, sharp, honest, ruthless in truth, unshakable in virtue. Be around those who rebuke you for your excuses, not those who reward you for them. Be among those who make you earn their respect, not those who throw it cheaply. And if you must walk alone for a season, walk tall. There is more dignity in solitude than in shallow companionship. Better to sit in silence with your thoughts than in noise with those who fear thought altogether. So audit your circle. Ask yourself, who would Epictetus allow into his life? Who would he reject, no matter how charming, wealthy, or entertaining? Then do the hard thing. Cut ties with mediocrity. And do the harder thing. Surround yourself with the great, the tested, the wise, even if they challenge you, especially if they do. Because mental strength is not only built by what you think, but by who you think beside. Number 8. No man is free unless his mind is free. This is the final rule, the crowning truth. You can own nothing, but if your thoughts are your own, you are sovereign. Or you can have everything, and still live enslaved by fear, impulse, and desire. Mental strength is the highest form of liberty. It cannot be given, it must be earned. Epictetus lived in chains, but his mind soared beyond emperors. He taught Roman senators, though he was born a slave. His power came not from position, but from principle. You must do the same. Wake each day and fight for the freedom of your mind. Reject the noise. Question your reactions. Practice stillness. Choose discipline over ease, reason over rage, courage over comfort. Because in the end, no one can take from you what you've trained yourself not to need. Now pause. Ask yourself, which of these rules have I broken the most? Which must I begin living tomorrow, not as a concept, but as a command? Leave your answer below. Share what hit hardest. Let others know you are on this journey too. And if this lit a fire in you, you must watch the next video. It holds the deeper Stoic teachings of Marcus Aurelius, the ones that turn fire into forge and thought into transformation. But first, take this with you. You are not broken, you are simply untrained, and today your training begins.